Captain Lee Daeho stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Fleet flagship Aegis and watched the stars disappear. One moment, the view screen showed the familiar darkness of space dotted with distant suns, and the next moment, massive shadows blocked out everything. The alien ships were bigger than anything humans had ever built. They were longer than city blocks and wider than mountains. Their dark hulls reflected no light and seemed to swallow the stars themselves. Lee pressed the emergency alert button with a steady hand even though his heart was racing. Red lights flashed across every ship in the Earth Defense Fleet. Sirens wailed through the corridors of space stations around Earth. On the planet below, billions of people looked up at the sky and saw death coming for them. "Admiral Park, this is Captain Lee," he spoke into his communicator. "Unknown vessels have appeared in Earth orbit. They are hostile and enormous. Request immediate backup." Admiral Park Minji's voice crackled back through the static. "All ships move to defensive positions. Protect the civilian evacuation routes. Do not fire unless fired upon." Lee almost laughed at that order. The alien ships had already started firing. Bright red beams of energy shot out from their weapons and cut through Earth's orbital defense platforms like a knife through paper. The platforms exploded in brilliant flashes of light and twisted metal. Each explosion meant hundreds of human lives lost in an instant. Lieutenant Commander Choi Hyunwoo ran up to Lee with a tablet in his hands. His face was pale and his hands were shaking. "Captain, the enemy ships are scanning us. Their technology is far beyond ours. Our shields cannot stop their weapons." Lee looked at the tactical display on the main screen. 12 massive alien ships hung in space above Earth like hungry predators. They were shaped like giant arrowheads with smooth curves and no visible engines. Yet somehow they moved through space faster than anything humans had ever seen. Red dots showed where human ships were trying to form a defensive line. Blue dots showed where the aliens were cutting through that line like it was made of air. "Sir, we are getting a transmission from the lead enemy ship," called out Communications Officer Kim Ji-woo from her station. "They want to speak with our leaders." "Put it on screen," Lee ordered. The view screen flickered and showed something that made everyone on the bridge step back in fear. The alien commander was tall and thin with gray skin that looked like stone. Its eyes were black and empty like holes in space. When it spoke, its voice sounded like metal, scraping against metal. "I am Overlord Thaxis of the Vorthak hegemony. Your primitive species will surrender now or face complete destruction. You have one of your time units to decide." Lee stepped forward and spoke clearly. "This is Captain Lee Daeho of the Earth Defense Fleet. Earth will never surrender to invaders. Leave our system now or face the consequences." The alien's mouth opened in what might have been a smile but looked more like a wound. "Your weapons cannot harm our ships. Your technology is thousands of years behind ours. You will watch your world burn and your people die because of your foolish pride." The transmission ended, and the alien ships began moving toward Earth. They spread out like fingers reaching down to grab the planet. Their weapons started firing at anything that moved. Human ships exploded one after another. Space stations crumbled under the alien attack. Missiles launched from Earth's surface, but they bounced off the alien shields like raindrops. Lee gripped the command chair as the Aegis shook from a near miss. "All ships, begin attack pattern Delta. Target their weapon systems. If we cannot, destroy them. Maybe we can slow them down." The human fleet moved forward with everything they had. Fighter ships buzzed around the massive alien vessels like angry insects. Cruisers fired their main guns until the barrels glowed red hot. Destroyers launched wave after wave of missiles and torpedoes. For a few minutes, it looked like they might have a chance. Then the aliens showed what real power looked like. One of the alien ships turned its main weapon toward the human fleet and fired a beam of pure energy. The beam was as wide as a building and brighter than the sun. It swept across space and cut through 6 human ships in one motion. The ships did not explode. They simply stopped existing. Where proud vessels had been flying a moment before, there was now only empty space and floating debris. Dr. Kim Ji-woo watched the battle from her laboratory on Luna Base and tried to understand what they were facing. She had spent her whole life studying alien signals from space, but had never imagined first contact would be like this. The alien transmissions were complex beyond anything she had seen. Their language had layers within layers of meaning. Their Technology used principles that human science had not even discovered yet. "They have been watching us for a long time," she told her assistant as she analyzed the alien signals. "These are not explorers or traders. They are conquerors. They know exactly how to fight us because they have studied our weaknesses." Back in space, Admiral Park watched the battle from her command center on Luna Base. Reports came in from all over the solar system. The aliens had split their forces and were attacking multiple targets at once. 3 ships headed for Earth's moon. 2 more moved toward Mars, where human colonies housed millions of people. The remaining ships stayed in Earth orbit and continued their bombardment of the planet below. "How many people have we lost?" Park asked her aide. "Early estimates suggest over 10 million in the first hour alone," came the grim reply. "The aliens are targeting our cities and military bases. They want to break our will to fight." Park slammed her fist on the table. "Then they do not know humans very well. Send orders to all remaining ships. We fight until the last ship is destroyed and the last human draws breath." On Earth below, the alien attack had turned day into night. Massive ships blocked out the sun as they hovered over major cities. Their weapons reached down like lightning and turned buildings into dust. But the humans did not run. They fought back with everything they had. Soldiers fired rifles at ships the size of mountains. Children threw rocks at alien landing craft. Old men and women stood in the streets and shook their fists at the sky. Lieutenant Commander Choi was monitoring long-range sensors when something caught his attention. Far out at the edge of the solar system, his instruments detected a strange energy signature. It was moving fast and heading toward Earth, but it did not match any known human or alien technology. "Captain Lee, I am picking up something unusual," Choi reported. "There is an unknown contact approaching from the outer system. It does not appear to be with the alien fleet." Lee was too busy trying to keep his ship alive to pay much attention. The Aegis was under heavy fire from 2 alien vessels. His shields were failing and his weapons were barely scratching the enemy armor. Half his crew was dead or wounded. The bridge was filled with smoke and the smell of burning electronics. "Whatever it is, we'll have to wait," Lee shouted over the noise of exploding consoles. "Right now, we have bigger problems." The first day of the invasion ended with Earth's orbital defenses in ruins. Millions of humans were dead. Most of the defense fleet was destroyed or crippled. The aliens had established complete control of space around Earth and were preparing for the ground invasion that would finish the conquest. But something was coming from the darkness between the stars. Something that would change everything. Something that had been waiting and watching for this moment. The unknown contact on Choi's sensors moved closer to Earth with each passing hour, and it was accelerating. The second day of the invasion began with alien ground forces landing on Earth. Massive transport ships descended through the atmosphere like falling buildings. They touched down in fields outside major cities and opened their sides to release thousands of alien soldiers. The Vorthak warriors were twice as tall as humans and covered in natural armor that looked like black metal. They carried weapons that fired bolts of pure energy and moved across the ground in perfect formation. Captain Lee watched from the bridge of the badly damaged Aegis as more human ships died trying to stop the transports. His own vessel was barely holding together after yesterday's battle. Half the weapon systems were offline and the hull had dozens of holes that the repair crews had sealed with emergency patches. But Lee and his crew kept fighting because that was what humans did. "Sir, the aliens are jamming all communications with Earth," reported Communications Officer Kim Ji-woo. "We cannot coordinate with ground forces or get updates on civilian evacuations." Lee nodded grimly. The aliens were not just trying to conquer Earth. They were trying to break human spirits by cutting off all hope. They wanted people on the ground to feel alone and abandoned. They wanted the space fleet to think the planet was already lost. Overlord Thaxus appeared on every human communication channel at once. His ugly face filled screens across the solar system as he delivered his ultimatum. "Your pathetic resistance ends now. My ground forces will capture your leaders within hours. Your space fleet is destroyed. Surrender, and some of you may live as slaves." Admiral Park's response came from Luna Base and was broadcast to every human ship and station. "The only thing ending today is your invasion. Earth will never bow to aliens. We would rather die fighting than live on our knees." The alien overlords' laugh sounded like breaking glass. "Then you will die. All of you." Lieutenant Commander Choi was still tracking the unknown contact from the edge of the solar system when his sensors went crazy. The mysterious object had suddenly accelerated to impossible speeds. It was moving faster than light without using any kind of jump drive that human science understood. Even more strange, the object seemed to be getting bigger as it approached. "Captain, the unknown contact will reach Earth orbit in less than 30 minutes, Choi reported. Its energy signature is unlike anything in our databases. It does not match human or Vorthak technology. Before Lee could respond, explosions bloomed across. The alien fleet. One of the massive Vorthak ships suddenly split in half as if cut by an invisible sword. Another ship spun out of control as something tore through its hull from end to end. A third vessel simply vanished in a flash of blue light. "What is happening out there?" Lee demanded, as his crew scrambled to understand what they were seeing. The answer came when something shimmered into existence between the human fleet and the alien ships. The unknown vessel uncloaked like a ghost, becoming solid. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. The ship was long and curved like a living creature. Its hull seemed to shift and flow as if it were made of liquid metal. No weapons were visible on its surface, yet it was destroying alien ships with ease. Commander Yang Subin was aboard the research vessel Discovery when the mysterious ship appeared. She had been analyzing alien technology for the past day, trying to find weaknesses that human forces could exploit. Now she found herself staring at something that made even the advanced alien ships look primitive. "Get us closer to that unknown vessel," Yang ordered her pilot. "I want full sensor scans. Whatever that ship is, it might be our only hope." The Discovery moved carefully toward the mysterious defender as the battle raged around them. Yang watched, in amazement, as the unknown ship danced between alien vessels like a leaf in the wind. It moved with impossible grace, dodging energy beams that should have been unavoidable. When it attacked, brilliant lances of energy shot out from points along its hull and sliced through alien armor like it was made of paper. Dr. Kim Jiwoo left her post on Luna Base and joined Yang aboard the Discovery. As the fleet's leading expert on alien communications, she wanted to study this new player in the battle. The unknown ship's energy patterns were fascinating. They seemed to be organic in nature, as if the vessel was partly alive. "The hull is repairing itself," Yang reported as she watched the mysterious ship take a direct hit from an alien weapon. The damage sealed itself within seconds, leaving no trace that the ship had ever been hurt. "This technology is beyond anything we have seen before." The unknown ship moved through the alien fleet like death itself. It targeted the largest vessels first, cutting through their shields and armor with weapons that seemed to ignore the laws of physics. But it did not destroy the ships completely. Instead, it disabled their weapons and engines, leaving them helpless but alive. Overlord Thaxis watched his fleet being torn apart by a single unknown vessel and felt something he had not experienced in centuries of conquest. Fear. The ship attacking his forces used technology that the Vorthak had encountered only once before, long ago, in a different part of the galaxy. It was technology they had thought they had destroyed forever. "All ships focus fire on the unknown vessel," Thaxis ordered. "Destroy it at all costs." 6 alien ships turned their weapons on the mysterious defender. Energy beams powerful enough to crack planets converged on the unknown ship from all directions. The space around the vessel lit up like a small sun as massive amounts of energy struck its hull. When the light faded, the ship was still there. Its hull glowed with absorbed energy for a moment, then returned to its normal state. The vessel had not just survived the attack. It had somehow used the alien weapons to make itself stronger. Captain Lee could hardly believe what he was seeing. "Are we recording this? No one will believe that such a thing is possible." The mysterious ship began moving faster, cutting through the alien formation like a knife through cloth. It disabled 2 more Vorthak vessels in quick succession, then turned toward the ships that were bombarding Earth's surface. Whatever controlled the unknown vessel, it clearly wanted to protect the planet. On Earth below, the alien ground invasion was not going as planned. Human soldiers fought with desperate courage, using their knowledge of local terrain to slow the alien advance. Citizens formed militia groups and attacked alien patrols with hunting rifles and homemade explosives. Children, who should have been in school instead, served as messengers and scouts for the resistance. The aliens had expected quick surrender once their overwhelming technological advantage became clear. Instead, they found themselves fighting block by block through cities that refused to give up. Every building became a fortress. Every street became a battlefield. The humans were losing badly, but they kept fighting anyway. Then the bombardment from space suddenly stopped. The alien ships that had been raining death on human cities went silent as their weapons were destroyed by the mysterious defender. People on the ground looked up to see flashes of light in the sky as the unknown ship continued its attack on the invasion fleet. Commander Yang managed to get the Discovery within scanning range of the mysterious vessel as it destroyed another alien ship. Her instruments gathered data that made no sense according to current human understanding of science and engineering. The ship's hull was partially organic, growing and changing as she watched. Its weapons drew power from sources that her equipment could not identify. The energy patterns are stable but completely unknown, Yang reported to Admiral Park. This ship uses principles of physics that we have not discovered yet. Its technology is thousands of years ahead of both human and alien science. Dr. Kim tried to establish communication with the unknown vessel but received no response. The ship continued its methodical destruction of the alien fleet, moving with purpose and intelligence, but refusing to acknowledge any attempts at contact. It was as if the mysterious defender was focused entirely on its mission, and nothing else mattered. The battle lasted through the night and into the dawn of the third day. When it was over, half the alien fleet was disabled and drifting in space. The invasion force on Earth's surface was cut off from reinforcements and supplies. The momentum of the conquest had been completely reversed by a single unknown ship. As the sun rose over Earth, the mysterious vessel moved to a position between the planet and the crippled alien fleet. It held station there like a guardian, its hull gleaming in the light of the star that had given birth to the human race. Whatever the ship was and wherever it had come from, it had chosen to fight for Earth when all hope seemed lost. The third day after the invasion began brought an eerie calm to Earth orbit. The mysterious defender ship hung motionless in space between the planet and the crippled alien fleet. The Vorthak vessels drifted helplessly with their weapons destroyed and their engines dead. On Earth below, the alien ground forces had stopped their advance and were trying to re-establish contact with their fleet commanders. Captain Lee stood on the repaired bridge of the Aegis and stared at the unknown vessel. His engineers had worked through the night to fix the damage from the first day's battle. The ship was functional again, but Lee knew that without the mysterious defender, Earth would have fallen already. "Any luck with communications?" Lee asked Communications Officer Kim Ji-woo. Kim shook her head in frustration. "Nothing, sir. The ship receives our transmissions but does not respond. It is like shouting at a mountain." Commander Kang Min-soo looked up from his linguistics station. He had been analyzing the energy patterns from the unknown ship and found something interesting. "Captain, there are faint signals coming from that vessel. They are very weak, but they follow patterns similar to human language structures." Lee walked over to Kang's station. "What kind of patterns?" "The signals use mathematical progressions that match how human languages develop over time, but the specific words and grammar are unlike anything in our current databases. It is as if someone took ancient human languages and let them evolve for thousands of years in isolation." Dr. Yoon Eunju arrived on the bridge carrying a portable computer filled with historical data. As Earth's leading expert on ancient history, she had been studying the unknown ship's design and behavior. "Captain, I think I know what we are dealing with." The ship's whole design resembles Korean spacecraft concepts from the early space age. There are artistic elements that match ancient Korean metalwork and architecture. Lee frowned. "That is impossible. Korea never launched any generation ships that we know about." "Official records say that," Yoon replied. "But there are gaps in our historical data from the early space colonization period. Wars and disasters destroyed many archives. What if there were secret projects that never made it into the history books?" Before anyone could respond, the unknown ship began moving toward the human fleet. It approached slowly and carefully, as if trying not to appear threatening. When it was within communication range, something amazing happened. A voice crackled through the Aegis communication system. The words were in a language that sounded almost like Korean, but with unfamiliar pronunciations and grammar. Commander Kang worked frantically at his translation computer as the voice continued speaking. "They are trying to communicate," Kang announced. "The language is definitely based on ancient Korean, but it has evolved significantly. Give me a few minutes to work out the translation algorithms." The mysterious ship transmitted again, this time more slowly. Kang's computers processed the signal and produced a rough translation that appeared on the main screen. "Greetings to the children of Earth. We are the Wanderers. We have come home." Lee stepped forward and spoke into the communicator. "This is Captain Lee Daeho of Earth Defense Fleet. Please identify yourself and explain your purpose here." The response came back quickly, and this time Kang's translation was clearer. "I am Han Seokjin, Captain of the Eternal Wanderer. We are descendants of humans who left Earth long ago. We have returned to protect our ancestral home." The bridge fell silent as everyone tried to process this revelation. Dr. Yoon was the first to speak. "A lost colony ship. It has to be. Probably launched during the crisis period when the first alien signals were detected centuries ago." Lee opened a channel to Admiral Park on Luna Base. "Admiral, are you monitoring this conversation?" Park's voice came through clearly. "Yes, Captain. This changes everything. If these are truly human descendants, we need to learn everything we can from them." The communication from the mysterious ship continued. Han Seokjin's voice carried a weight of sadness and determination. "We left Earth when the first signs of galactic danger appeared. Our ancestors believed that humanity needed to spread among the stars to survive. We have been wandering the galaxy for over 1,000 years, always searching for a new home, but never finding one." Commander Yang aboard the Discovery was recording everything as she maintained her position near the unknown vessel. Her sensors were gathering incredible data about the ship's technology. The hull was definitely partially alive, growing and adapting as she watched. The propulsion system used principles that human science had never even theorized about. "How did you develop such advanced technology?" Yang transmitted to the mysterious ship. Han Seokjin's response revealed the true scope of what the Wanderers had accomplished. "Necessity forced us to evolve beyond our origins. We learned to merge organic and mechanical systems. Our ships grow rather than being built. Our weapons adapt to any threat. We became something more than human while still remaining human at heart." Dr. Kim worked with linguist Kong to improve the translation algorithms. As their understanding of the Wanderer language improved, more details about their history became clear. The Wanderers had encountered the Vorthak hegemony decades ago when the alien empire destroyed one of their colony worlds. "The Vorthak have been hunting us across the galaxy," Han Seokjin explained. "They see us as a threat to their expansion because we refuse to submit to their rule. We have been fighting a guerrilla war against them for generations, striking at their fleets and then disappearing into deep space." This revelation sent shockwaves through the human command structure. Admiral Park called an emergency meeting of all surviving ship captains and senior officers. Even though they participated by hologram from their various vessels, the meeting felt historic. "If I understand correctly," Park said, "these Wanderers are advanced humans who have been fighting our enemies for decades. They came to Earth because they detected the invasion." Han Seokjin confirmed this through the communication link. "We have monitoring stations throughout this region of space. When we detected Vorthak ships moving toward Earth, we knew we had to act. This is our ancestral home. You are our distant family. We could not let the hegemony destroy you." Captain Lee found himself overwhelmed by the implications. "How many ships do you have? How many people?" "We are few in number but strong in purpose," came the reply. "Our fleet consists of 12 ships like this one. Our total population is less than 50,000. We have survived by being mobile and adaptable rather than numerous." The conversation continued for hours as both sides shared information. The Wanderers had detailed knowledge of Vorthak technology and tactics gained through decades of warfare. The Earth humans had something the Wanderers had lost over the centuries: a stable home base and large population centers that could support major industrial production. Dr. Yoon pieced together the historical puzzle as more information came to light. The Wanderers were descendants of a secret Korean space program that had launched during a period of global crisis in the early space age. The project had been classified at the highest levels, and all records had been destroyed when the government that authorized it fell from power. The original mission was to establish backup colonies for human civilization, Yoon explained to the assembled officers. When they lost contact with Earth, they assumed our civilization had been destroyed. They have been living as refugees ever since, always moving, never able to settle anywhere permanently. This knowledge gave new meaning to everything the mysterious ship had done since arriving at Earth. The Wanderers had not just been defending another world from alien invasion. They had been protecting the homeworld they thought they had lost forever. They had been fighting to save the family they believed was dead. As night fell on Earth, the Eternal Wanderer moved closer to the human fleet. Its organic hull glowed softly in the darkness, like a living star that had come home after a long journey. Captain Han Seok-jin transmitted one final message before ending the day's communications. Tomorrow we will show you how we fight. Tomorrow we will teach you what we have learned. Together the children of Earth will drive these invaders from our sky and make them regret the day they chose to threaten humanity. The message filled everyone who heard it with hope for the first time since the invasion began. Earth was no longer alone against impossible odds. The lost children of humanity had returned with knowledge and technology beyond imagination. The Vorthak hegemony was about to learn why humans had survived and spread across the galaxy while other species had fallen to conquest. The fourth day brought the first face-to-face meeting between Earth humans and their long-lost cousins from the stars. Captain Lee received an invitation to board the Eternal Wanderer along with Admiral Park and a small team of specialists. The mysterious ship extended what looked like a living tube from its hull to create a docking connection with the Aegis. Lee felt nervous as he walked through the organic tunnel that connected the two ships. The walls pulsed gently with their own rhythm, like the inside of a living creature. Soft blue light emanated from the material itself, providing illumination without any visible light sources. The air tasted clean and fresh, with a hint of something floral that reminded him of spring mornings on Earth. When they emerged into the Eternal Wanderer, Lee and his team found themselves in a space that defied everything they thought they knew about spacecraft design. The corridors curved and flowed like natural caverns but were obviously artificial. The walls responded to their presence, brightening as they approached and dimming behind them as they passed. Everything felt alive and aware. Captain Han Seok-jin met them in what appeared to be the ship's central command area. He looked human but different in subtle ways that spoke of centuries of adaptation to life in space. His skin had a faint luminescent quality, and his eyes were larger than normal, clearly evolved for low light conditions. When he smiled, his expression carried the warmth of genuine family reunion mixed with the sadness of long separation. "Welcome aboard the Eternal Wanderer," Han said in accented but understandable Korean mixed with other languages. "You are the first Earth humans to set foot on one of our ships in over 1,000 years. Admiral Park looked around the command center in amazement. There were no visible control panels or display screens. Instead, crew members seemed to interact directly with the ship through touch and thought. Patches of the wall would light up in response to gentle pressure from a crew member's hand, displaying information in three-dimensional holograms that floated in the air. "How does all this work?" asked Engineer Oh Young-won, who had been brought along specifically to study Wanderer technology. Han gestured to one of the glowing wall sections. "Our ships are grown rather than built. They are hybrid organisms that combine biological and mechanical systems. The ship itself is partially alive and responds to our mental patterns through neural interfaces that we develop from childhood." Dr. Kim moved closer to examine one of the organic interfaces. The surface felt warm under her hand and seemed to pulse with a gentle heartbeat. When she touched it, patterns of light spread out from her fingers like ripples in a pond. The ship was actually communicating with her through direct physical contact. "This is incredible," she whispered. "The ship is reading my bioelectrical patterns and trying to establish a connection." Han nodded. The Eternal Wanderer knows you are family, even though you lack the neural modifications that allow full interface. The ship can sense your human genetic patterns and recognizes you as kin. Lieutenant Colonel Bae So-young had come aboard to discuss military tactics and strategy. As the Earth Defense Fleet's leading tactical analyst, she was eager to learn how the Wanderers had survived against overwhelming odds for so long. "Your fighting methods are unlike anything we have seen," Bae said. "How do you coordinate attacks without visible communication systems?" Han led them to what he called the tactical heart of the ship. Here, a large organic structure rose from the floor like a tree made of crystal and living tissue. When Han placed his hands on its surface, the entire room filled with three-dimensional displays showing the current positions of all ships in the solar system. "We do not communicate through radio or laser transmissions that can be intercepted," Han explained. "Our ships are connected through quantum entanglement networks that work instantly across any distance. When I think a command, every ship in our fleet receives it simultaneously." The technology demonstration continued as Han showed them how Wanderer weapons worked. Unlike human or Vorthak energy weapons that required massive power generators, Wanderer weapons drew energy directly from the fabric of space itself. They were powered by the quantum fluctuations that existed everywhere in the universe. Engineer O took detailed notes and recordings of everything he saw. "Could this technology be adapted to our existing ships?" he asked. "With time and patience, yes," Han replied. "But the process is not simple. Your ships would need to be partially converted to organic systems. They would need to grow new components, rather than having them installed." Admiral Park was most interested in the strategic situation. How many Vorthak ships are in this region of space? What kind of resistance can they call upon? Han's expression grew grim as he shared intelligence that the Wanderers had gathered over decades of warfare. The force that attacked Earth is only a small part of their total fleet. The Vorthak hegemony controls hundreds of star systems and has ships numbering in the tens of thousands. They have been expanding across the galaxy for centuries, absorbing or destroying every species they encounter. This news was sobering, but not entirely unexpected. Earth's defenders had suspected that they were facing a major galactic power rather than a simple raiding force. The question now was how to survive and eventually win against such overwhelming numbers. "What we lack in ships, we make up for in knowledge and adaptability," Han continued. "The Vorthak follow rigid military doctrines that have not changed in centuries. They expect their enemies to fight in predictable ways. When we use unconventional tactics, their commanders become confused and make mistakes." Lieutenant Colonel Bae found this information fascinating. "Can you share some examples of these unconventional tactics?" Han activated the organic display system to show recordings of previous Wanderer battles against Vorthak forces. The images showed small groups of bioships striking at much larger alien fleets using hit-and-run tactics. The Wanderer ships would appear suddenly, destroy key targets, and disappear before the enemy could respond effectively. "We target their command ships first," Han explained. "Vorthak forces become disorganized without central leadership. We also attack their supply lines and communication networks. A Vorthak fleet without supplies or orders becomes helpless very quickly." Dr. Yoon was documenting everything for the historical record. This meeting represented one of the most significant moments in human history, comparable to the first contact with aliens. Except in this case, the aliens turned out to be long lost. "Human family members. What happened to Earth after your ancestors left?" she asked. "Did you ever try to return or make contact?" Han's sadness was evident as he answered. "We sent probe ships back to this solar system several times over the centuries. Each time we found no signs of advanced civilization. We assumed that humanity had been destroyed by natural disasters or warfare. It was only when we detected your radio transmissions a few decades ago that we realized Earth had survived and thrived." The conversation turned to immediate tactical concerns, as more Vorthak reinforcements were detected approaching the solar system. Long-range sensors showed at least 20 additional alien ships heading toward Earth at maximum speed. They would arrive within days, bringing the total enemy force to over 30 vessels. "We need to act quickly," Admiral Park said. "If we wait for them to arrive, we will be completely outnumbered." Han agreed and proposed a joint operation that would combine Wanderer technology with human strategic thinking. Your people have something that we lost over the centuries of wandering. You have the ability to think and plan on a large scale. You can coordinate massive operations because you have stable command structures and reliable communication networks. Engineer O was already working on plans to integrate Wanderer biotechnology with human ships. The process would be complex and time-consuming, but it was possible to create hybrid vessels that combined the best features of both designs. We can start with your smaller ships, O suggested. Fighters and scouts can be converted more easily than large vessels. Once we understand the process better, we can work on upgrading your capital ships. The meeting continued deep into the ship's night cycle as both sides shared knowledge and developed plans for the coming battle. Trust built quickly between the two groups of humans, despite the vast technological and cultural differences that separated them. As the Earth delegation prepared to return to their own ships, Han made a final offer that surprised everyone. We have decided to share our most advanced technology with you. Not just weapons and ships, but the biological enhancements that allow us to interface directly with our vessels. If you are willing, we can begin the process of preparing some of your people for neural integration. Captain Lee looked at his team and saw determination in their faces. Earth was fighting for its survival against an enemy that had conquered hundreds of worlds. Any advantage, no matter how strange or unprecedented, was worth considering. We accept your offer, Lee said formally. Earth and the Wanderers will stand together as one people against our common enemy. The alliance between Earth and its long-lost children was sealed with handshakes and embraces that bridged 1,000 years of separation. The fifth day brought the arrival of Vorthak reinforcements and the beginning of humanity's first coordinated counterattack against the alien empire. 23 additional enemy ships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system, their massive hulls bristling with weapons that had conquered dozens of worlds. But this time, they faced an enemy that was ready for them. Captain Lee stood on the bridge of the newly modified Aegis and felt the ship respond to his thoughts in ways that still amazed him. Engineer O and his team had worked through the night to install basic bioorganic interfaces throughout the human fleet. The modifications were crude compared to full Wanderer technology, but they allowed human ships to coordinate with bioships in ways that no enemy could predict or counter. The combined human fleet moved to intercept the Vorthak reinforcements before they could link up with the original invasion force. 12 Wanderer bioships flew alongside 37 human vessels in a formation that looked chaotic to outside observers, but followed patterns that made perfect sense to the hybrid tactical network connecting all the ships. Admiral Park coordinated the battle from her command center on Luna Base, but the real tactical control came from the living ships themselves. The Wanderer vessels had grown new neural pathways overnight, creating connections that allowed human and Wanderer crews to share information instantly across the entire fleet. All ships, begin attack pattern Omega, Lee transmitted, using a code that existed only in the bio network. The alien ships intercepting human communications would hear meaningless words, but every ship in the combined fleet received detailed tactical instructions through the quantum entanglement links. The battle began when the Vorthak fleet opened fire at maximum range, expecting to destroy the inferior human ships before they could get close enough to return fire effectively. Their energy beams lanced across space with the power to crack planets, but they struck empty space where the human ships had been moments before. Dr. Kim and scientist Lim Tae-hyung had spent the previous day developing what they called the Neural Disruptor. The weapon was a combination of human electronic warfare technology and Wanderer bioengineering that could affect the cybernetic implants used by all Vorthak soldiers and commanders. When deployed properly, it would turn the aliens' own technology against them. The first phase of the attack focused on the largest enemy vessels. Wanderer bioships used their incredible speed and agility to get close to the alien command ships, while human vessels provided covering fire and electronic jamming. The coordination was perfect because both sides of the fleet were thinking with the same hybrid mind. Commander Yang piloted the Discovery through the chaos of battle, carrying the Neural Disruptor toward the Vorthak flagship. Her ship had been modified with Wanderer stealth technology that made it nearly invisible to enemy sensors. She was able to get within weapons range before the aliens realized she was there. Deploying Neural Disruptor now, Yang announced as she triggered the hybrid weapon. The device sent out waves of bioelectric energy that were harmless to unmodified humans, but devastating to cybernetic systems. Across the Vorthak fleet, alien commanders suddenly found their neural implants malfunctioning. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Vorthak ships began firing on each other as their coordination networks failed. Commanders issued contradictory orders as their enhanced communication systems turned into sources of confusion rather than control. What had been a disciplined fleet became a mob of individual ships fighting without any overall strategy. Lieutenant Colonel Bay had worked with Wanderer tacticians to develop new fighting techniques that took advantage of bioship capabilities. Instead of the straight-line attacks that both human and Vorthak fleets normally used, the combined force attacked in three-dimensional spirals that kept the enemy guessing about where the next strike would come from. Overlord Thaxus watched his reinforcement fleet fall apart and felt something that Vorthak commanders were not supposed to feel: desperation. The neural disruptor had affected his own implants, leaving him partially cut off from his command network. Worse, he was beginning to recognize the technology being used against him. "This is impossible," Thaxus transmitted to his scattered fleet. "The Ghost Fleet was destroyed centuries ago. They cannot have returned." But the evidence was undeniable. The bioships attacking his forces used the same living technology that the Vorthak had encountered before in a distant part of the galaxy. The weapons that ignored his shields, the ships that healed their own damage, the coordination that seemed almost telepathic. All of it matched records from battles that the hegemony had thought were ancient history. Captain Han coordinated the Wanderer ships through the bio network while simultaneously sharing tactical data with his Earth cousins. The integration of human strategic thinking with Wanderer technology was working better than anyone had dared to hope. Earth's military leaders brought fresh perspectives to problems that the Wanderers had been struggling with for decades. Target their engine systems, Han transmitted through the hybrid network. "Disable them, but do not destroy them completely. We need prisoners and intact ships for intelligence gathering." The combined fleet moved through the enemy formation like a living organism, each ship responding to threats and opportunities with perfect coordination. Human vessels used their superior numbers to pin down individual Vorthak ships, while Wanderer bioships delivered precision strikes that disabled rather than destroyed. Engineer O monitored the performance of the hastily installed bio-interfaces from his position aboard the Aegis. The organic components were adapting to human ships faster than anyone had expected, learning from each battle and improving their integration with existing systems. By the end of the engagement, some human vessels would be more bioship than traditional spacecraft. The battle reached its climax when the combined fleet surrounded the Vorthak command vessel and forced it to surrender. Overlord Thaxus found himself cut off from his fleet, his ship disabled, and his command structure in complete disarray. For the first time in his long career of conquest, he was forced to consider the possibility of defeat. "This is Captain Lee of the Earth Defense Fleet," came the transmission from the human flagship. "Surrender your vessel and prepare to be boarded. Resistance will be met with destruction." Thaxus looked around his bridge at crew members whose cybernetic implants were sparking and malfunctioning. Half his weapons were offline and his engines were dead. The mysterious bioships had surrounded his vessel with weapons that could cut through his armor like it was made of paper. "I am Overlord Thaxus of the Vorthak hegemony," he responded with as much dignity as he could manage. "I demand to speak with your commanders." The response came not from Captain Lee, but from Han Seokjin aboard the Eternal Wanderer. When Thaxus saw the Wanderer captain's face on his screen, his expression changed from arrogance to shock. "Impossible," Thaxus whispered. "You were all destroyed at Kepler Station. The Ghost Fleet is extinct." Han's smile was cold as space itself. "We are the children of Earth, and we do not die easily. Your empire made the mistake of threatening our ancestral home. Now you will learn what happens when humans fight together instead of alone." The surrender of the Vorthak fleet marked the beginning of humanity's transformation from a single-world species to a major galactic power. The captured alien ships provided technology and intelligence that would allow human forces to strike back at the hegemony's core systems. More importantly, the alliance between Earth and the Wanderers had proven that humans could adapt and evolve while still remaining essentially human. Dr. Yoon stood in the observation deck of Luna Base and watched as Wanderer bioships began sharing their technology with Earth's industrial facilities. The process would take years to complete, but already human shipyards were learning to grow vessels instead of building them. The hybrid ships being constructed would be faster, stronger, and more adaptable than anything either branch of humanity had created alone. Children in the rebuilt cities of Earth looked up at the sky where human and wanderer ships patrolled together, protecting the planet that had given birth to both civilizations. The unknown ship that had uncloaked to fight for Earth had become the symbol of something larger. The idea that family bonds could survive any distance and any amount of time. The war against the Vorthak hegemony was far from over, but the balance of power had shifted dramatically. Earth was no longer a target for conquest, but a rallying point for free species throughout the galaxy. The combined human fleet began planning expeditions to liberate other worlds and spread the message that the age of easy conquest was ending. Admiral Park issued orders for the construction of a new type of space station that would serve as both military base and diplomatic center for the growing alliance of free worlds. The station would orbit Earth as a symbol of humanity's commitment to protecting not just their own species, but all beings who chose freedom over slavery. As the fifth day ended, Captain Lee stood on the bridge of his transformed ship and felt the bioorganic systems pulse with life around him. The Aegis was no longer just a warship, but a living extension of human will and determination.